Previously, I talked about one of my favorite, or my absolute favorite Swiss Army knife, which was the Victorinox Walker, and compared it with another 84 millimeter Swiss Army knife, which was the Waiter, which we have on the table right now. And since I got requests to do some sort of review, so here we are. In a previous video, I discussed about my first responders ADC. These two pieces on the table represent pretty much what to me is my everyday carry system. Now, apart from the wallet, the watch, the keys, which practically everybody else has, these are two items which distinguish the readiness practitioner or the prepper or the survivalist from everybody else. You are most likely to see a combination of a knife and a flashlight on somebody who is an advocate of readiness and preparedness. Now, this is some sort of a double review, and let's start with the light, which is a simple AAA flashlight, and it's the Lumintop Tool AAA. As you can see, it's a tiny little package, and it's more or less featherweight. And like I said, it's something that I have on me, and it's perfect for my line of work. And one thing that makes it appealing to me, or what made it appealing to me, was the fact that it had a low power setting. I don't remember the technical specifications on this thing, but it's perfect for doing pupil checks on patients. And it has a medium and a high and medium, and then the low. So the combination of the featherweight and the versatility of the lighting modes makes it the perfect EDC torch for me. And it's something that I refuse to leave at home. Well, it's small enough to fit in the pocket, but large enough to fit in a closed fist, which is how I like to hold my flashlights anyway. So there's the Lumintop Tool 3AA, and the one thing that really makes it for me as far as flashlights go, I've hardly ever changed the batteries on this particular light. I don't remember the last time I changed batteries on this thing. I use rechargeable nickel metal hydride batteries, and it's been months since I switched batteries on this thing. So it's a very reliable piece of equipment, which is why I have it on me as my permanent everyday carry setup. Now, how does the Tool AAA compare with some of my other pocketable flashlights? Now, here's another Lumintop product. This is the Lumintop Tool, the Lumintop FWAA in titanium. It's a triple LED flashlight, which I would call a luxury item because it runs only on one 4500p batteries. It's AA sized, but it will not run on regular alkaline cell batteries. And although it does have a low power setting, it can go all the way to something like 1100 lumens. It's a great flashlight, but in all honesty, with the power requirement or with the batteries that it needs a special type of unprotected 14500 cell. And even if you had regular 14500 cells, if it's not unprotected, those batteries will not work on the FWAA. So that's one thing to note with this particular flashlight. Next, we have an old standby, which is the Olight Baton SR2 Baton 2, which I've had for the last 5 years, I guess. And as you can see, by the mere size and weight, plus the fact that it has a side switch, makes it a good general purpose flashlight around the house, but it's not something that I would conveniently carry in the pocket because it runs on 18650 batteries and it's quite heavy compared to the tool AA. And I put the rubber lanyard loop on it. So just by the sheer size of it, it's easy to see why I will choose the tool AA any day of the week. Now let's go back to the blade. I've always loved 84 millimeter or Victorinox models simply because I've had much larger Victorinox Swiss Army knives before, and I still have with me a jumbo Wenger tool chest, and as you can see, there's really no contest between these two as to which I would carry the most often. Now this particular Victorinox was a recent purchase. I think I've had it only for more than a year or two. I don't really remember. But it was a recent purchase. But I had a chance to purchase this thing 20 or 30 years ago. It's just that I opted for another 84 millimeter Victorinox model, which was the Walker. It's basically the same exact knife, only that the Walker has the economy scales, which are basically flat and without the shine. I like the economy scale simply because they don't show scratches that much, which is why even after more than 20 years, this thing still looks pretty good, despite the abuse that it had to take. But anyway, going back to the waiter. So why did I get a waiter when I already had the Walker? Well, one thing is that, as I found out over the years, being an EDC practitioner for over 4 decades, I began to see myself trimming down on a lot of my everyday carry items. And since I have had little use for folding pocket knives, or I should say locking folders, which to me have had limited use in the past, I opted to carry or go back to my roots with carrying just a simple Swiss Army knife with very basic tools. And just like the Walker, the waiter has just a few basic tools like a main blade, a combination tool, and the corkscrew. And with the corkscrew, I attached a micro screwdriver. Although I've had this thing for years, much longer than I've had both the Walker and this waiter. Plus, I added a Victorinox pin right there on the scales. So it's a very basic tinker tool for me, and it has most of the tool set that I would likely need on an everyday basis. And even if this were the only knife that I had, I really don't feel inadequate. And in the 2 years, roughly 2 years that I've been carrying this Victorinox waiter, I found that I've hardly ever needed anything else on me aside from a flashlight. Now, and as far as cutting ability is concerned, well, we all know how sharp the Victorinox knives can get. I've used the combination tool, the combo tool, and I know how it works. I know that it works, so there's really no need to prove that. I've added a dangler so that I can clip it directly into my pocket and not, so this clip just makes it more convenient to carry. Now, even comparing it with the Victorinox Walker, the waiter is quite a slim package. It's a single layer Victorinox knife, and therefore it's about the slimmest Victorinox knife you can get in Celidor scales, and it's just about perfect for EDC. And the Walker is a nice EDC for me when going on a day hike or something. So that's the reason why I carry the waiter most of the time these days, and it's practically my only EDC blade. And just to share with you a story on my about my EDC journey. It's very easy to fall into the trap of finding the coolest gadgets around. It's so easy to fall into the hype that influencers create whenever they talk about EDC pocket blades or other tools and equipment, and they tell you that this is the new thing, this is the cool thing, and I bought into that. But seriously speaking, I realized after over 40 years that looking cool isn't exactly what you think it is. And the funny thing is, it's been a while since a girl was actually impressed with my EDC tools, and all throughout I was thinking that yeah, I like carrying knives because girls might think it's cool. But ironically, the last time a girl was actually impressed by was so many years ago. And doesn't matter what I carry, doesn't matter how cool I think my EDC setup is, girls really don't care. And the only people who care are actually other guys who are into the hobby. So I find it really strange, which is why I stopped really giving a shit about what's cool, what the latest toys are in the market. And every time I see an influencer saying, "Oh, this knife is so cool," I hear myself saying, "Oh, that guy is so gay." Because it is. The only other people who are impressed with your EDC setup are actually other men. Because girls really don't care. So, guys, let's keep it real, keep it realistic. Stop buying stupid shit. And I'm saying that to myself also because I'm one of those who bought into the hype the last 40 years. It's not that I regret anything, it's just that I realized that the only people who are actually impressed by what I do, what I carry, are other guys. And unfortunately, I find that so gay, which is why I'm choosing to quit being cool. So, for you who are getting into the EDC lifestyle, those of you who are just getting into the rabbit hole, that's really something to think about. The next time anyone says, "Oh, that's a cool knife, that's a cool kit," or whatever, just remember again, the only other people who think you're cool are other men. At any rate, well, and that's been the long and the short of it. This has been Absabando saying, being cool, it's just so gay.